This is episode 9 of the Rink Hockey Podcast, and today we're diving into full results of round 2 of the Stanley Cup Playoffs. I'm here with Donny and Jordan. We'll break down each series, what stood out, and how those outcomes shape the matchups in round 3. We'll give our predictions, analyze the strengths and weaknesses of each remaining team, and look at what could decide the conference finals. Before we begin, a quick reminder to like and follow the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And be sure to follow the Rink on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook for updates and extra content. How you boys doing tonight?
Good. How
Good,
about
good.
yourself?
Lovely, especially since Montreal's in the conference finals. Can't be too upset. At the time of us recording this podcast, once again, on par for us. We are a little behind.
It's
We've seen
life.
both. Yeah, life is life. We've seen game one of both series so far, and then as we're doing this, game two's on for Colorado and Vegas. To start off, we're gonna go over the West, and then we'll finish off with the East because, as we all know, me and Donnie will talk for probably 4 hours about the Habs. Um, so first off in the West, boys, the Avalanche beat the Wild. We'll kind of do what we did last time. I'll say what our predictions were, and see if me and Jordan did a little bit better now that Donnie was here. And then we'll go over the series and then look at who they're playing. So Avalanche beat the Wild. We all had Colorado winning this one. I had them in 5, Jordan had them in 7, and Donnie had them in 6. So at least, we all had Colorado as winning this one.
Almost
Jordan, what
got to
did you?
7.
Yeah, yeah, well, yeah, they was real close there, getting to 7. Jordan, what did you think of the series?
Uh, yeah, Colorado was by far the better team throughout the whole series. I mean, the missing piece of Eriksson Ek, I think, is a huge spot that can't be understated. Like, he is definitely their number one center and kind of makes that lineup a little bit deeper and rounds it out better. Brody on the back end, I think, makes a little bit of a difference. Both those guys in the lineup, they still don't beat Colorado. Colorado was way better, and they tried to score with Colorado, and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, Donnie?
Yeah, I think this kind of to Jordan's point there. On top of Eriksson Ek being out, they also didn't have Jonas Brodin. We saw the goaltending struggles that the Wild had in the first few games, losing that game 1 9-6 to Colorado. I don't think any goalie would survive 9 goals against. Normally, you get a pulled goalie at that point, and then they tried to go to Gustafsson and then back to Wallstedt, kind of working back through their goalies, and it felt like Colorado was too deep, right? We even saw that game 5 must win for the Wild. They build a 3-0 lead, play great, and Colorado just chips away 3-1, 3-2, 3-3. Eventually wins it in overtime. Even if it wasn't in 5, I think it probably would have been in 6. It just felt like a much deeper, more experienced team beating a team that's still trying to get that playoff experience and get over the hump. I think it'll be interesting to see where Minnesota goes in the offseason. Quinn Hughes is obviously a big talking point, and maybe they can add a few more pieces to really compete in this very tough Central Division for the next few years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that 9-6 first game really felt like Calgary and Edmonton from a few years back when Calgary won that game, and they thought, okay, now we can score with Edmonton. We're just going to play run and gun hockey, and they go on to get reverse swept and didn't look good after that, right? Minnesota didn't really change anything. Said, "Hey, we're going to try and score here with them." Where they should have tried to, play more of a defensive system, make it harder on Colorado, bog them down, slow the game down a lot, and they just decided not to do that.
Yeah, this series, the one thing I noticed too, like the goalies on both teams honestly were not good in this series.
Oh yeah,
Like even in the closer games, they weren't bad. I'm pretty sure the team save percentage for the whole series, not one goalie was over 870 for their save percentage as an average, basically. Just looking at the stats here quickly, Colorado dominated Minnesota on the power play at 38.5% compared to Minnesota's 23.1. They dominated in the shots on goal category, and like Jordan said, not having Eriksson Ek in there, Colorado also dominated in the faceoff circle, allowed them to really set up in the zone when they needed to and control and dictate the play. The Colorado Avalanche, there's only one category they didn't win in this series, and that was hits. Minnesota out hit Colorado, not by much, but they out hit them. Their team was more built for that, and
the Felinos.
the Felinos were throwing their bodies around, and while
Hmm.
Colorado won the series in the end, Minnesota might be having the last laugh right now as Makar is still injured, and you can really toss that up probably to the beating he took this series because they were going after him every second they can.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, the depth we talked about this earlier on our podcast, just how deep this Colorado team is. You can't you can't try to run a gun with them like we were just talking about. They're just way too deep down the middle, and you're not trying to just shut down one line on this team or a 1A, 1B line. They have four lines that are just rolling at all points in time, so
Yeah. I actually think Minnesota's depth players did pretty good in this series. Like they went and got Michael McCarron at the deadline. Thought he had a pretty major impact on.
shockingly he was really good.
Yeah, I think if you're Minnesota, you needed more from Kaprizov. He had a few games where he kind of took over, put up multiple points. Quinn Hughes had a great series. Like I think they're like one major offensive piece away, like that kind of level player. I don't know how you even go about adding that, but
Jason
um,
Robertson.
yeah, they have to try to get creative to get one more dynamic forward. I think on this team, try to
Like
add to their core.
I think Quinn Hughes was really good for them in these playoffs. I thought he pretty much was right as advertised, right? A little bit small, but he was able to control play. If you're a Minnesota Wild fan and from years prior and this year, are you happy about giving Kaprizov the money you gave him?
No,
Like that's a lot
No,
of money
not.
for a guy that just doesn't really show up in playoffs. Hasn't shown it yet, at least.
It was the largest contract, right? Or it is the
Yeah.
largest
it is the
contract.
largest. Yeah,
Like, if I'm paying someone that money, I'm expecting them to win me a game or two in the
Yeah. Win
playoffs
you a
by
game. Yeah.
minimum. Not even just like be an impact. No, no, I want them to be winning me a game. And I agree. They didn't get that from him,
He had a
and
he
I
had a
don't
I'm
know.
2-on-1
Yeah,
in the overtime there and decides to pass the
yeah.
puck across and doesn't get the pass across, right?
I'm
Like
I'm
shoot that puck.
I'm also of the believer that like if you are dishing record-breaking money out to reset a market, the last position you should do it is at wing. Unless
Agreed.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
Nikita Kucherov absolute game-breaking talent, like
And
IQ,
even then,
everything. I don't
yeah.
think Kaprizov's quite on that level, but if you
Uh,
do it to a centerman or a number one defenseman or even to a certain extent a goalie, which we know the goalie market right now is a little bit behind where the player market is with the McDavids and Kaprizov now. I'm fine with giving that money to a center or a D, but wingers impacts on games, it just feels like it's
are
much less, and you're not getting the return on for your money, in my
And
opinion.
yeah, agreed. And adding on to that, I honestly don't even think goalies should be in that status anymore. Just my personal opinion. Look at the
Yeah,
four teams that are remaining in your playoffs right now.
100%.
Is any of them paid over 5.5? Like maybe like what's Anderson getting paid right now?
I don't even know.
Like as you know what I mean? Like is anyone big number?
2.75.
All you need at the end of the day, the saying is the saying. Sure, you can have the prices and the Hellebucks and the Hassicks of the world. That's completely different, obviously. Those are generational goaltenders, you know what I mean? But that being said, Hellebuck has proven that he doesn't always show up in playoffs, whereas some of these goalies right now are showing all you need to do is get hot in playoffs. You know what I mean?
Or you can
I'm
just find a goalie that commits sexual assault.
I mean I
Hey, he was cleared and he is on fire now,
Yeah.
baby.
I I mean I don't agree with that take. I think goaltending is a pretty important position. You look at
Oh, I'm
the
not saying it's
Eastern
not important,
Conference the
but
last 5 years and it's Vasilevsky, all guys getting paid at the top of the market, right?
Yeah.
This year's a little bit
If
different, but
you can find that guy, I think it makes sense to pay him. But
yeah.
teams have shown recently that they build the team from the forward group back, and it's very difficult to find that goalie worth that amount of money in today's NHL.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder to develop a goaltender in the system. You can draft someone whose high pedigree looks good, looks promising, but that development from drafting a goalie to being ready at 24, 25, 26, whatever that age is so difficult for organizations nowadays,
yeah.
right? And
Agreed.
you often don't see that kind of success. It's usually, and then you have goalies that like a Hellebuck that are now in their 30s, almost over the hill in terms of goaltending peak.
Oh, he's over
That
the hill.
that's where their peak kind of comes out, and
Yeah.
their window shortened, right? Um, yeah,
Speaking of goalies and the wonderful Carter Harts, we'll go into the Anaheim Ducks Vegas series here, where he was one of the reasons, in my opinion, Carter Hart was one of the reasons why this series went Vegas's way. There was many things that went good for Vegas in this series, but maybe they went bad. They truly struggled with Anaheim's speed and their counterattack. Anaheim getting 31 shots per game on average compared to Vegas just sitting at 23. But Carter Hart overall save percentage sitting at 930 for that series, whereas Anaheim 8.856. For me, this series really came down to goaltenders and who showed up and who didn't, and I really think Anaheim's goaltending let them down. Donnie, what do you think?
Oh, 100%. I think, like you're saying, Carter Hart won that head-to-head matchup. In all 6 games, Anaheim outshot Vegas. There wasn't one game where Vegas
Mm.
had the shot advantage. Um, I think what we saw from Anaheim is very promising for the future with their young players, dynamic offensive forwards that are continuing to develop and gave Vegas a pretty good series here. And to
Yeah.
your point, Dante, if they got a little bit better goaltending, this series could have easily went 7 and potentially a different direction. We talk about how important goalies are in these playoff series, and one save or one major play can kind of make or break your year. And
Yeah.
I don't think if you're a Ducks fan, you're mad with what you saw
You
this year.
shouldn't be at all. You're a
Them
young
beating
team
the
that, yeah.
Oilers
I
and
don't
then
think anyone thought
Vegas.
they'd be in playoffs to begin with. Never mind making
Yeah.
it to round 2 here. Like, I
Yeah,
wouldn't be upset at all.
I think it raises big questions about Dostal, right? Like you came into it thinking he's probably your franchise goalie. That's kind of what the word was, and I just don't know. He didn't ever make the big save when needed. It just fell flat there for me in the Edmonton series and then also in the Vegas series. He looked good at the beginning of the year, tapered off. I don't know if he can handle the workload. I don't know. That's my biggest question mark for that team, but they're going to get better. Like Anaheim's going to be back there. They're going to be threatening. I honestly could see them competing for a cup in the near future with how that team is. One thing I wanted to bring up actually was probably one of the people that played through one of the most impressive injuries was Cutter Gauthier. He actually broke his L1 and L2 vertebrae in his back on March 30th, missed 2 weeks in the regular season, and then came back and played the entire playoffs. That's absolutely insane.
It's pretty fucked when you think about it, eh?
Yeah, it's wild.
Like when you like him and the other injuries we mentioned before, it's fucking insane what these hockey players go through. And then like I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it pisses me off to no end because then you look at other sports around the league.
Well, you got a basketball player, he'll miss
basketball
a game
player,
hangnail.
yeah,
Like,
he's got a hangnail, so he's not in the game tonight, or he fucking, like not everyone. Obviously, there's probably some pretty tough dudes on that and NBA too, but I don't know. I just don't see like the NHL toughness. These guys, like the guy had a Cutter Gauthier is a broken back, and he played great this series too.
He did.
I honestly, if he didn't announce, I don't know about you guys, but if he didn't announce that injury, I would never have guessed he actually was injured. To be honest with you, I would have. He was playing well. I didn't think he was in an injury at all, but
yeah.
Donnie, what do you think?
Yeah, just quickly on the Ducks outlook here. So they have some pretty big decisions just looking at their cap friendly. So they got both Cutter Gauthier and Leo Carlson have expiring deals this year. Obviously, both have RFA status, but those are 2 huge big ticket contracts you're potentially handing out this offseason. So getting those 2 deals done are huge. They had just locked in Jackson Lacombe earlier this year to $9 million a year, kicks in next year. And then on their decor, they have John Carlson, Jacob Trouba, and Radko Gudas all on expiring contracts here. Either walking as free agents, or maybe they like what they saw with Carlson. You sign him to a veteran deal for a few years, but I can also see Jacob Trouba leaving. I think
Trouba's someone I think they want to keep though. Like he was playing on their top line with.
I think they want to, but
I
agree with Donnie.
The market, and I think there's someone's gonna pay him for his physicality, even at his age of 32.
Winnipeg.
Yeah, bring him home. And then to your point, Jordan, like Dostal's 25 years old, but they have him locked in for $6.5 million for 4 more years. They extended him. So
Anaheim really needs they need Dostal to or like because I mean I didn't see him being this bad, to be honest. Like I don't see him being on the elite level of a goaltender either. But yeah, he's a young guy, so I'm still putting my faith in him at least for another season or two for sure before I even start to maybe consider that factor. Especially because I mean the market and the goaltenders right now, if you are trading for one or moving it, you're just moving it for another young goaltender anyway. So you might
Yeah.
as well see what's going on with him. But to that point, that defense core too, those guys are pretty old players as well. So I
Yeah.
guess it's going to come down to Anaheim whether they truly think that they can compete again next season and can continue to compete, and whether John Carlson, Truba, and sorry, who's the last one there? Gudas, was it?
Gudis, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who's their
okay,
captain, right?
who's
So
their
he might be a
captain,
guy that
right?
they
But
keep as
that might
well.
and see, I'm of opposite thought of that. That's the guy I let go, and I'm giving that seat to Carlson immediately as soon as he's gone. Carlson really impressed me these playoffs, to be honest.
Yeah,
Um,
John Carlson was a stud. He played really well for them on the back end.
yeah, I meant Leo Carlson. You,
I was just making a
you son
joke.
of a bitch.
And then the other,
But
sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
quickly as well. The
Yeah,
other name that is rumored to be out there that might be an odd man out is this Olin Zellweger. So he's a 22-year-old D-man. He's also on an expiring RFA deal. Might not be enough chairs on that back end with this Tristan Luneau, Pavel Mentukov, Lacombe, and their veteran D that they're going to look at bringing in. That might be a guy you see on the move, still young, mobile.
Yeah.
I think he had 22 points this year.
To that
Um,
point,
get traded to a
he
different
was
team
healthy scratched a lot of the
in the
playoffs,
playoffs.
right?
Correct.
For
Yeah.
a guy who was playing in the AHL for most of the season, he
And he's
got in
from
and it was okay, but yeah,
Calgary, Alberta. Maybe that's a
yeah.
target the Flames can
correct
snatch
for
up.
I'd take
Zellweger.
him. He's pretty solid, like
Pair him with
offensive.
Parekh.
Honestly,
So
like yeah,
that's a problem.
one of those guys gonna be a right wing, left wing forwards because neither of them could play defense. Um, but both those, like Anaheim's in a good position. Yeah, like they have to make a decision basically in the offseason based on what their cap situation is and what they want to do. Are you going to move on from all your veteran guys and play all your young guys? Because if you are, you're taking a step backwards probably. You got to let them develop. Or are you going to start moving some of those young guys out on the back end, like Donny mentioned, and maybe filling some holes you had within your lineup to try to go on another little run here. It'll be interesting. Right now, it's game two currently of Vegas and Colorado. Vegas stole game one. Uh, Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Colorado is currently winning
One
Yeah,
still.
1-0.
nothing.
Yeah,
End
One
of two.
nothing still.
Yeah.
end of
So
second. Yeah,
this series, yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit amongst ourselves prior to this, but a huge blow for Colorado here with Noah Makar, and it doesn't sound like he's going to be ready till the end of this round anyway. If that, he hasn't been able to have a consistent skating regiment yet. Um, Vegas steals game one, which is huge, but now you need to take advantage of the fact that Colorado's best player is out. Close game right now, 1-0. It seems like both goalies are having a good game here, but game one once again, what's his name there? Wedgwood, right? Sorry, Wedgwood did not impress me at all. Whereas Carter Hart stole game one from me. He's had two. He's had a really good last round. He was pretty decent prior. He's doing really well again right now. So Colorado, who's got nothing but offensive firepower, is gonna have to really find a way to break through his shell, and Vegas is gonna have to find a way to keep on playing them tight and stealing some wins, considering that they
Mm,
don't really do well against fast teams.
yeah.
So
yeah.
I
Carter
think.
Hart definitely has gotten better as these playoffs has gone on. Like against Utah, I thought he was probably below average, and then throughout that series, he got better. Last round, I thought he was good, and he's kept going from there against Colorado so far. That's the key to this series to me.
yeah,
Is Carter
Donnie.
Hart beating Wedgwood out. And
Yeah,
I think Vegas, more than any of the four teams left in these playoffs, understand their identity as a team more than anyone. I
hmm
think you see a Colorado team, very high offense, high octane, like you're saying, Dante, fast. Vegas knows they can't skate with them. If they open it up and try to get into a track meet, they would get blown out.
yeah,
Makar being out is huge for them. And if you watch game one, Vegas just waited for their opportunities. They played solid defensively,
yeah.
limited Colorado's chances for the first two periods at least, and then they got that one power play goal. They scored a goal on the counterattack, and they're very opportunistic. I think Marner's having a hell of a series, but
Toronto fans are crying.
it's a very well coached team by Tortorella, playing to their identity and getting better goaltending every game. To your point, Jordan, and
Agreed.
yeah,
And this,
depending on how long Makar is out, we know Makar is a game breaker for Colorado and can take over and make plays. If he's out till games 5, 6, and 7, it
Might
might
be
be
too
too
late.
late. This
Yeah.
game's only 1-0. Vegas could still win this game tonight and
And to
see
that
where it goes.
point, Vegas is also missing Stone. I mean, he's not
Mhm.
the game breaker that McCarr is. But if you look at Vegas's record with Stone in the lineup compared to without Stone in the lineup, it is like two different teams are actually playing. Like they're a way better team with him in the lineup than they are out. So if they can steal a couple games too, I don't know what his status is on his injury for when he's coming back,
I
but
don't expect him back anytime soon.
is that bad? No, who knows with
Yeah,
him. But
I yeah. It
the other
sounds like
thing
it might be his back again, so you never know
Right.
with a
So
back.
you never know with that. But the one thing I want to say too is like Colorado, we were talking about it just prior. They aren't that big of a team either. They are a fast, skilled base team. And like Donnie said, Vegas is very comfortable playing and who they know who they are. So th- they know what they need to do to win this. Colorado is not going to outbully Vegas. I think Vegas is way more of a tough, bigger team than they are. So like if they keep on playing the way they're playing, like Donnie said, capitalizing their opportunities, we might see a pretty big upset here because I don't think many people have Vegas coming out of this. But we can go around the table here and say what we think. Donnie, what do you think?
I think for sure this series is going 6 or 7. I think Colorado finds their game. McCarr comes back by game 5 is my prediction.
Okay,
I'm gonna say Vegas in 7 is
Vegas
my
and seven.
prediction. I think they build out potentially a 3-1 lead in
Hmm.
the first 4 games. I think Colorado claws 2 games back with McCarr back, but I think they find a way to win it in a game 7. That's what I'll
Yeah.
go with.
Jordan.
Yeah, I am kind of sniffing the same flowers here. I think with McCarr out, and I also think he'll probably be back game 5-ish, somewhere in there. Um, with McCarr out, their decor is so small with Malinsky and Blankenberg out there. Vegas is going to take a pounding to them. They're just going to run them into the ground, I think. I think they have the better goaltending and like significantly so with Carter Hart as long as he keeps playing how he has been. And Mitch Marner right now is playing out of world. He's exactly the type of player that Toronto always wished they had, and too bad they didn't draft a guy like that and keep him around. Um, I think I'm gonna have to say Vegas in 6 because I think Colorado's goaltending is gonna let them down.
Fair enough. I'm gonna just for the sake of argument, I'll go opposite of you guys. I'm gonna go Colorado in six. I think at the end of the day, Hart's playing unreal, Marner's playing unreal. 100%, I agree with all those points. I just don't see Vegas being able to keep Colorado to these low scoring games for too long. That team will break out eventually. I think. Or who knows, maybe McKinnon will miss another wide open net. Let's let's go over to the East here. Let's start off with the first series we'll talk about, Carolina and Philly. Carolina once again swept Philadelphia back-to-back sweeps from round one to round two. We also all had Carolina in this in our predictions. None of us had them in a sweep though. Um, there's not much like we did like the same thing we did for the last round. There's not much to say here. Philadelphia was just outplayed and outclassed in almost every away here. They are once again a young team that just snuck into the playoffs as well, and Carolina kind of had their way with it, way with them. Donnie, what'd you think?
Yeah, I think like you said, it's just 2 different leagues playing in this series. We talk about how Philly played a Pittsburgh team. I think those two were arguably the worst playoff teams in the East
Yeah,
coming in. Randomly being able to play each other is pretty bad on the league in terms of look, in my opinion. But Flyers took care of Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh retirement home, and moved on to Carolina. Carolina was also very rested, taking care of Ottawa easily in the first round, and yeah, just very little resistance. We talk about Carolina's depth scoring, that second line on the Carolina Hurricanes being arguably the best in hockey right now. Frederick Anderson played out of his mind. I think he had first 2 rounds back-to-back game 1 shutouts in
yeah,
both the Ottawa Philly series, setting the tone, and it never felt like Philly was in it until they forced overtime in game 4. Flyers had all the chances in that overtime. Carolina came back first chance. It felt like they ended the series. So not
Yeah,
too
it's not
much else on that.
Yeah, I
Jordan.
think
Anything?
Carolina had the better goalie. Carolina had more depth. Carolina outskated them. Big thing in the Pittsburgh series for Philadelphia was their young guys like a Martone really stepped up and scored goals for them when they needed it and stuff, and that didn't happen against Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really all I have to say.
The outlook for Philadelphia, though, if you would have asked me, I didn't think they'd make the playoffs. Porter Martone has emerged as probably he, my favorite next season as of right now for probably rookie of the year. He looked unreal this entire playoff run, and since he joined Philadelphia over there, they have some nice young pieces that they're starting to put together here. Mitchkov played way better towards the end of the season. He struggled at times these playoffs as well, though.
They need
Former
him to
Calgary
get serious and come into the season in shape and
ready to
stuff.
go and
For
not taking everything half-assed like he has been lately.
yeah,
Uh, and then their goalie situation was always a question mark for me, but Vladar played pretty well to be honest. He actually was pretty good these playoffs here.
Yeah,
But they're a young team. I don't think the fan base will be upset to be eliminated here either. I don't think they plan to be there at all. I don't know if they'll be around here again next season. To be honest,
yeah.
if I had to
This
choose a team to bounce back, it's going to be Carolina or sorry Philadelphia. They'll probably be on the outside looking in next season.
yeah this kind of feels like a one-off playoff appearance for me. I
didn't
think
it
they
feel like
need.
a bit of a Tocchet special, right? Tocchet kind of
Yeah,
did that in
yeah. Which
Vancouver, had the one
so
year boost.
my big question marks for them, like we talk about Mitchkov, he was kind of jerked all over the lineup all season. Had kind of had his feuding with Tocchet. Didn't really feel like a Tocchet type player in terms of defensive responsibility and intensity and everything. So they have to figure out what they're doing with him in terms of their planning. Dante, you talked about Porter Martone jumping on the scene, absolute stud. Trevor Zegras
Insane.
is an RFA. I don't believe he's re-signed yet.
No, I think he will be though.
Yeah,
Yeah, they'll
I think he'll
secure him.
buy into Philly. He likes playing
Yeah,
there. But like that Sean Couturier, they're paying him 7.75 for another 4 years. Travis Konechny makes 8.75 for another 4 years. And then Owen Tippett, everyone's kind of talked about him potentially as
a
being
trade
in
bait.
in that in between where they try to get rid of him. He's
Yeah,
making 6.2 for another 4. So
I
you
thought
might
he was
see.
pretty good this year, though.
I liked him during the season playoffs. I
he
feel
sucked.
like I didn't notice him too
I didn't
much.
notice him. He disappeared
Yeah,
completely in the playoffs for me. He
And
really
then
struggled to establish his game.
outside
and
of
he has the
San,
game that he should be okay in the playoffs, right? Like the type
Yeah,
of game he
yeah,
plays.
you would think
yeah.
at least. Yeah,
And then on their decor outside of like I like Sanheim as a player. He's also 30 now. They have Cam York, who's 25, still relatively youngish. Ristolainen's probably on his back legs. Drysdale, they're going to continue to see what they get in him. But I think Philly is a team that are going definitely going to look at the trade market and free
yeah,
agency to potentially add a few more good pieces to their team here.
agreed 100%. And
Agreed.
then Carolina's moving on, and they play the Montreal Canadiens. I don't think I've ever been, or all three of us have ever been this stressed out watching hockey, and especially two back-to-back Game 7 rounds between for Montreal and this Buffalo series. I know me and Donny talked about it. I thought it was I thought it was done when we lost that home game. It got blown out in front of the home crowd. I did not expect us to be able to pull it out too much, but they did it. Montreal's moving on. That was a really good series as well. Two very young teams, guys? Like both these teams. I think we're going to be playing each other a lot in the future in playoffs here, especially with how the playoff setup is and all that kind of stuff. I
Yeah, these teams could end up really hating each other.
Yeah, this could be the start of a really good deep rivalry like we had with Boston and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think we're gonna see each other a lot in the upcoming years here, or who knows? Maybe Buffalo completely falls off the face of the earth again and doesn't play well at all. But Jordan, let's start with you. I mean, we watched a lot of these games together at the rink here. So, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a series of one team blowing out the other and then the other team blowing out them. Like it just felt like there wasn't really a super close game. Even game 4 was it when Buffalo won 3-2. it was a close game on the scoreboard, but it felt like Montreal was by far the better team, right? Like just taking the game to them, like, and then game 7, you finally got like that one goal overtime, a little bit more back and forth. I know everyone says Buffalo probably deserved to win that because they handled the second period. I don't really completely agree with that. I thought Montreal has had trouble with second periods, honestly, all playoffs, and I thought they did exactly what I thought they were going to do in the second period. They had a 2-goal lead. They were going to try and shut it down, kind of limit the high danger chances, which I thought they did. They got hemmed in lots. I kind of expected that. And they came out at the end of the period still up a goal, right? Yeah. Third period, they looked nervous, I thought. But then as soon as Buffalo tied it, Buffalo then started looking nervous and kind of went into a shell, and then Montreal really took it to them, right? I thought that the top guys for Buffalo, as in Tage Thompson and Alex Tuch, were pretty invisible. Tage Thompson scores 2 empty netters and
off the boards or whatever.
A goal where he goes to rim it in and it hits off a stanchion and comes out like one of the luckiest goals I've ever seen. And then Tuch did absolutely nothing. He's trying to be a $10 million plus player, and I don't even know if he's worth 7 after that series.
Even less. He did nothing for me, honestly. Donny, what'd you think? I know we lost. I think I lost years of my life watching this series and the series beforehand. But they did it. But thoughts here.
Let's just quickly walk through the games here. So game 1, I think that was more of a feeling out process type of game. Montreal just came off an insanely intense, very tight 7-game series against Tampa Bay. Yeah. Dante, we talk about, I think Tampa led in that series for 20-some minutes total throughout the entire 7-game series. Montreal played an unbelievably defensive game in that series. So game 1, Buffalo comes out, high octane. Montreal kind of had to find a way to transition. Buffalo wins that game 4-2. We see games 2 and 3, Montreal find their game, start to take over. They win both of those games handedly, 5-1 and 6-2. Game 4, to your point, Jordan, tight game. Montreal gets a 2-1 lead. 2-2 goal, absolute horseshoe luck off the Zamboni door. Ties the game for them. Buffalo gets a little bit of momentum from that lucky bounce, wins that game. That was the only close game of the series.
Yeah.
Game 5, Montreal made adjustments back on the road, wins handedly in game 5, get a power play goal from Demidov, Dante. First line starts to get going. I think game 6 was the only real anomaly where I don't really fault Montreal for how they played. It felt like it was just watching a different team. We got the early lead, went up 3-1, got a little bit irresponsible with penalties, and that game quickly got away from them. But the message with this team, Dante, is just like resiliency, man. And I think it starts with Marty St. Louis down. This team, top to bottom, we talk about the first line not going at the level they need to. Mm-hmm. The depth scoring has came through on every level in this series. Every line scoring, contributing in games. Yeah. But it does, like, 2 very different teams in these playoffs. You have Tampa Bay, high octane, but also very defensive and smart. We play their game. We stick out a very tight series in 7 against a good team. Finished 1 spot ahead of us in the standings, 5th overall in the NHL. And then we play the 4th overall team in the NHL, completely different team. Maybe more high-octane offense, less defensive structure, worse goaltending, and we find a way to pull it out there too. And the biggest confidence I have in this team, like we talk about that first line not going, that first line gets going in the Eastern Conference Final and the Cup Final, and we continue to get the depth scoring and defensive structure coaching.
It's something crazy to think about, but like, wow, you know what I mean? If that happens.
Which is Jakub Dobish becoming an absolute stud in front of our eyes at 24 years old.
It's unreal, actually, when you think about that.
That's the biggest revelation. We talk about the structure and how this lineup's playing, but game in and game out, that guy just comes in, battles his ass off, and finds a way to outduel the other goaltender on the other side. First series was Vasilevsky. This series, I'll say worst goaltending with Luukkonen and Lyon. And now we're going into a series with Freddie Anderson in game 1. he continues to get the job done. And at 24 years old, it is absolutely ridiculous what we are seeing him do.
100% agree. And to the point you were making, Donnie, there, like Dobesh playing the way he is, the depth is the way they're going. If you would have told me at the beginning of this, like the first round, it was yes, okay. The first line struggled, and we tossed it up to we tossed a lot of it up to
Tampa's defense.
the defense, the tightness of the game, no space to skate, and then you come to this Buffalo series, and I'm like, okay, so there's way more space out there. They're gonna get going now, and then they still struggled, but then it didn't really matter because our depth guys, they're playing so well, and I know I mentioned this to you, Doc and Newhook, they've definitely earned extensions with this team for
Oh,
me at this point. And
yep.
even Bolduc, who you and I were not happy with how he played in the regular season a lot of the times, but he is, again, he reminds me a little bit, and I think you're the one that said this to me, a little bit of Josh Anderson, where they come out, the playoffs is their time to shine,
To
kind of
find their
thing.
game. Yep.
They find their game, and it's been good. So we look forward, and we're looking at, like, we watched game one so far for Carolina and Montreal, and wow, like we stole another one, and I don't know, like, Carolina's going to come back and they're going to play strong in for their game two here. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But I truly think we shocked those guys with how fast and how quickly we could counter on you. The one thing, like, you watched more of the game than I was able to, but Carolina loves the pressure super hard and high in the neutral zone. And the way Montreal was just one quick touch passing all the way around them is brilliant to see, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah,
sorry,
Go
go
ahead.
Jordan.
my boss and I were actually talking about it today, and like the amount of room on the ice for Montreal
It's
players
insane.
on rush chances and counterattacks is not like anything they've seen so far in these playoffs.
And
Because like they're trying to pressure you so hard where they're making mistakes defensively, and like people are wide open. Yesterday.
I honestly think that's an anomaly with Carolina almost being too hyped. We talk about the 13 days off that they
Yeah.
had,
It's the
record-breaking
longest
break
ever.
between series in history. So coming into this game, the message, the subject was rest versus rust, right? Montreal coming off two tight Game 7 series against very good teams. Carolina coming off two sweeps, haven't lost in these playoffs yet, and I think Carolina came in on that first period. They scored 30 seconds in. That was great for them, but they very quickly became over aggressive in their forecheck, right? And Dante, to your point, the touch passing was very key, but also Montreal's defensive ability to outskate and make one quick pass to get around that initial forechecker was the key to this game. You can
Yeah.
go pull up, I think, 4 of the Montreal 5 goals short of the empty netter. It starts in Montreal's end where the first forechecker is immediately on that D-man, one touch pass to the other D-man, and that D-man snapping it up the wall to a winger or skating up. There was one goal where Alexander Carrier completely outskated Seth Jarvis up the wall, and I think that was the one where it ended up in the Dano breakaway. He ended
Yeah.
up dishing it off to the winger.
Yeah.
Winger one touched it past Slavin. Dano walks right in, snipes it low glove on Anderson, right? So I think Montreal came in. They had a perfect game plan on how to counterattack this aggressive Carolina team. But
Mm-hmm.
I think we'd be kidding ourselves if we think we were going to see this again tomorrow
No.
night. I think
Yeah.
Carolina is going to be a lot more reserved and maybe even play a zone or a 1-2-2 defense and
Well, yeah.
not forecheck as hard, but in the same breath, that'll give Montreal's D more time to make plays out of their own zone
Yeah.
and not force turnovers on the defensive side, right? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
It felt like the whole conversation rest versus rust, and I think you could see that they had their legs, but they weren't connected as a team, right?
yeah,
With a lot of their pressures and stuff like that, they weren't all pressuring at the same spots and stuff, and I think that really came through, especially in the first period. I think the second period they kind of got their game back, and that's kind of more what you'll see through this series was what the second period was.
mm-hmm.
And then I thought Montreal played honestly the best road third period you could ask for.
Perfect.
Right?
Yeah.
One
Didn't
shot
give them
on
any
goal.
shot,
So,
didn't give them any chances, just killed everything. Like just
so
ideal.
to add to also what Donnie was saying before about the defensive games these two teams play, I wrote this down. prior to doing this, just because I wanted to talk about it. So both these teams are one of the few teams in the NHL that actually play man-to-man defense in their zone. And I know me and Donnie kind of bitched about it quite often, sometimes in the Tampa Bay and the Buffalo series, because you look at the man-to-man, and in Tampa, they were much rougher. They were on us right away, and they forced us in those man-to-man situations to lose battles one-on-one with some of their taller, bigger guys against some of our smaller players. Then you fast forward to Buffalo, and Buffalo figured it out. We're going to rotate instead of down low behind the goal line. We're going to start rotating up at the blue line to catch you guys running around too much. At the end of the day, that was what cost them the game, where they tried to rotate up top, and Darlene and Thompson got crossed up, leading to Montreal scoring on the other way. Now you fast forward to this Carolina series, and they both play man-to-man defense, but Montreal seems to be better and faster at it. So Carolina struggled deeply to break away from the man-to-man and create something in the middle of the offensive zone. Like you said in that third period, Donnie and Jordan, everything they had when they had offensive zone time
The
was
outside.
all outside. They
Yeah.
could not break through Montreal's man-to-man defense at all.
Even with the goalie
Fast,
pulled.
even
Yeah.
with the goalie
Which is,
pulled, it just they couldn't do it. Then you look at Montreal on the other end, and they almost liked having liked being played man to man. They know it well. They've been doing it all year perfectly. They know their skill, and sometimes their willingness to take risks that most players won't kind of help them out here once in a while. Like
Yeah.
I watched Demidov 3 or 4 times getting played man on man, and it's like he was just drooling about it, just so excited that I'm gonna pull off whatever move I can think of here. I think he made between his legs a couple times, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
I agree with you, Donnie. I don't think Carolina can stick to man if they want to win this series the whole time. I do think they need to drop down to a more of a zone trap situation and force Montreal to not be able to carry the puck to the neutral zone with speed. They need to force them to dump it. But devil's advocate to that, well, we had to do that against Tampa Bay. You know what I mean? That's why when I look at this series, obviously I'm a Habs fan. I'm obviously going to pick them to win here. But Montreal has now had to play, like you said, Donnie, 2 series, 2 very different ways. One, very structured, tight checking, no space. Buffalo, a little bit more space out there, bigger physical game. I don't know what Carolina can really throw at them that'll be different. Obviously, if they play better than Montreal, Montreal shoots themselves in the foot with terrible second periods, or the high stick penalties, which I think, Donnie, you almost broke your phone at how many high stick penalties they called on. Like, control your stick, guys. Come on, you know what I mean? But I'm very excited for this series. I agree. Carolina will answer back in game two at a much more structured game. So I think game two was really going to be a tone setter for the series, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think, but I think game two really will give us a true outlook on how this series might go.
I think game two definitely will give you a better idea of how the series is going to go. I think you guys are saying that they need to switch their defensive style. They don't do that. Carolina doesn't do that. They
Brandon
stay
Moore
to
doesn't
it.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he just doesn't change what he's doing. He just what I've taught you is going to work, and too bad. It feels,
Yeah.
like he just like punches it in and makes sure. Oh, Vegas just tied it.
Did
Make
they?
sure that you know what's going on at all times, right? Like this is our system. We're not changing anything. That could
Yeah,
really hurt them.
I
Like
think
Yeah.
they
so.
said
Yeah.
in game one, throughout the whole series against Ottawa and against Philadelphia, they were only scored on 5 times. That's crazy.
That
That's
is, yeah.
very low.
We
But
scored
they
five in
never.
the one
Well,
period.
the biggest problem with Carolina is they never had a game where they ran away with a game. All those games are close,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they were scoring a ton of goals. They don't have the guys that will score goals.
They
So
don't.
they
They don't
have
know how
to
to come back
play.
from a major deficit
Yeah,
either,
so
right?
they have to play. They have to play a tight checking style that is high pressure and capitalize on their chances. They're going to throw a bunch of pucks at net, and hopefully get a bounce and one goes in. They haven't played a team that has the high offensive upside that Montreal has, the high octane, the speed, the quick counterattack, and that's how you beat them. You beat them with quick counters in the neutral zone and you get on them. If
Yeah.
you score early on them, they're not coming back from it. They're not a team that can come back from a deficit. And I think that's where Montreal's biggest advantage is.
And on the opposite end, Jordan, like I think this playoff run for Montreal, like they've shown they thrive on the chaos. Like
100%.
they'll like their starts to games have been terrible. They're getting scored on in the first 30 seconds. It feels like almost every game.
Yeah.
But they find ways to get out of these holes. Vegas.
I'm almost hoping they get scored on now every game. 2-1 Vegas. Oh my god.
Yeah, but just to summarize my points, Dante, like you have to give Marty St. Louis so much damn credit for how he has this team playing. Not only the defensive structure, but these lines meshing and playing for one another, and just like the direction this team is going, Dante. We as Habs fans, we could talk to our blue in the face on a second line center. We need one more top 4D before we're really ready to compete for a cup. I don't think any of us saw Montreal going on this type of run where they beat the 5th overall team in the NHL. They beat the 4th overall team. Now they're playing the 2nd and potentially have to play the 1st. And they don't look, as far as it's very early in this Carolina series, they do not look out of place. And it's far ahead of where we expected it. But my keys to this series, I got 2 of them, is Dobish's compete. He needs to continue to be the better goalie in every single game. Freddie Anderson had a very bad game 1. I think there were a few goals he would have liked back. We might see Bussi if game 2 goes similar to game 1. Dobish needs to continue to elevate his game and improve and give Montreal a chance every night. Keep them in games, can't let in weak goals, etc. And like game 1, Dante, we saw that first line going for arguably the first time in this series at their full octane. Slavkovsky is such a driver of play when he's moving his feet. His biggest thing is his skating, right? When he is skating and moving at a high speed and in the game, that's when he uses his speed and size and forecheck and playmaking ability to really lean on the defensive team against him. And we saw that with that unbelievable goal he scored in game 1, right? He had an unbelievable behind the back pass to Caulfield to tie the game in the first minute in game 1 as well. And if that first line starts to contribute and create offense every game 5-on-5, I don't think Carolina has the guns to keep up with that kind of octane, to your point, Jordan. I like Svechnikov, I like Aho, I like Jarvis, but they are not that dynamic of offensive players compared to Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slav. I think Montreal has a major advantage when you look at first line to first line in this series. And with the depth performance they're getting for their second, third, fourth lines, the level that Marty has those 9 forwards playing, they could blow Carolina out of the water here unless things change, right? I have no doubt Carolina is going to make changes for game 2, but with what we saw in game 1, I don't know how we don't get excited as Habs fans for how this is trending, right?
I agree 100%.
I have never seen a player look so relieved and like a weight was lifted off of him as Slavkovsky looked after scoring that
5th goal.
That 5th goal. Like he just looked so like relieved that he finally got one 5-on-5 and a nice move, and that was interesting to see.
And another comment, Dante, like the 6-2 win yesterday, I'd argue one of the Habs' more invisible defenders last night was Lane Hudson.
He
didn't pick
hardly.
up a point. Didn't pick up a point. I thought Caden Gooley, Alex Carrier, Matheson, Dobson all had very solid games. Gooley was a beast out there. Transition. I think he had 2 assists on some pretty good big goals in the transition game.
He was animal,
And if you get Hudson going on top of all of this, I have no doubt Carolina's going to make changes in game 2, and you kind of have to see what changes they make. But it's feeling really good as a Habs fan in this.
It's going to be very interesting to see how they come out tomorrow. But like we all said, it's. If Montreal can keep playing it the way they're playing, it's going to be a very difficult series for Carolina, where they and their fan base definitely thought that they were going to be walking to the finals pretty easily here. So obviously, I think Donny and I are picking Montreal to win the series. Donny, what do you got them in?
I'm going to say Habs in 7 just to keep this 7-game series going. It'd be pretty legendary if you win a cup going 7 games.
If they have another 7-game series, I don't think I'll survive to the finals, but we'll see. Jordan, what do you got?
Yeah. So I have 3 big keys to this matchup. It starts in net. Does Dobish continue playing how he has? He looked like, from everything we've seen so far, he can handle the adversity of playoffs, the ups and downs, the roller coasters. Maybe he was looking a little tired against Buffalo at one point. I know in the interview he afterwards at Game 7, he said he wasn't. Everyone's going to say that. If he can keep playing how he's playing and Anderson comes back down to earth, because he's not the goalie he has been in the first 2 rounds. I think he's been playing out of his mind. He's a good goalie. He definitely should be a starter on a team, but he's not that guy. He's going to come back down, which it looked like he did in Game 1. That's a big step. Second one is Montreal needs to really be able to run through their lines and not have to sit guys and not make Suzuki play 35 minutes in a game and make sure Struble, you can actually trust him to play, a good 10-ish
Get him out of
minutes,
my
right?
lineup.
You can't go 5D and 11 forwards every single game against Carolina. They will run you into the ground because they play such a high-speed, heavy, hard-on-you game. Always pressure all the time. If you're cutting guys out of the lineup, it's going to be too much for guys that are getting unnecessary ice time, I think.
And that's why I think they brought Struble in, is because Xhaka is the physical. I call it a nuclear deterrent. Like, if you're playing a very physical team that's going to try to burn it to the ground and start fighting your star players, Xhaka is good to have in your lineup. But it's very clear that Marty trusts Struble's 200-foot game in his own end more than Xhaka, and that's why they have him in there. If he can play 10, 12 minutes a night as the sixth defenseman, I think you're very happy with that contribution.
I 100% agree with that. I think that's why Struble's in there. I also think they believe he's a better mover of the puck.
Yep.
And that is my third key, is the Montreal defense moving that puck quick. If Matheson and Carrier have been the worst at it so far these playoffs, they get the puck, the play dies. Matheson starts doing his lollygag and gets pressure, and he turns the puck over, puts his defensive partner in a bad position, and then they get hemmed in for a long time, right? You can't do that against Carolina. You have to move that puck. That first pass has to come quick.
Yeah.
That's why Struble's in the lineup, because that gives you another guy that you trust that can do that. Ultimately, with all that said, I think that in true Montreal fashion, this is going 7 games. Why would it not? They've showed me nothing that their series won't go to 7. And if they make the playoffs again next year, I'm going to pick the series to go to 7 again, because that's just what they do. I think they will pull this out. I'm going Habs in 7.
Let's go.
No, we're fucked
Is
now.
this the
So
first?
we're
Is
fucking
this the
screwed.
first Habs pick for Jordan?
We're fucked now. We're gonna lose. Fuck you, man. You had one job.
If Jordan's boss is listening to us, give him a raise.
Fucking, and then when we lose, fire him because it's his fault. Fuck. Well, obviously I'm picking Montreal, but fuck it. I don't care. I don't know what I feel, but I'm feeling Montreal in 5. I know it's crazy to say. I don't see this one going. I don't see this one going 7 for some reason. I think Carolina's been off way too long. I don't think they're gonna have enough time to get their game back to the level it needs to be. I think Anderson's gonna get picked apart again, like he did all year by the Habs. I mean, to that point, Demidov scored the same goal twice on him so far this year. The exact same bloody move.
Same deke and everything.
Same deke, same everything. Yeah. Right down to the T, the exact same. And then
if he does it a third time.
Yeah, and then if he struggles, you're gonna bring Boosie in, and then what? You're gonna put him in cold into the middle of the Eastern Conference Finals? I don't know. If I'm Carolina and I'm a fan of that team, I am more worried than I want to admit about how that game 1 went. You really do hope they bounce back, but that is not a good sign to start. A long rest is not a good thing. It's going to take a while to get that intensity back up for them, I think. But who knows? That's why they play the games and we just sit here talking about it. So we'll see what ends up happening. Anyone got some final thoughts? Jordan, start with you.
Yeah, final thoughts is not as fun because it's not a playoff team, but Calgary has been rumored to be open to trading anyone but Dustin Wolf and my guy, my number 1 defenseman in the whole league, Zane Parekh. And apparently they're looking to move up to that number 2 spot with San Jose. I don't know what on our roster could get us that.
Give them, man?
But you'd have to look at a defenseman, maybe like a White Cloud, Frost. Like I don't even know what we have that would really make that trade go through, but apparently they're interested in it, so that'd be cool.
I'm also interested in being a millionaire, but things just don't always happen. Donnie, what are your final thoughts?
You guys can hear me still? Sorry, I thought I muted my mic.
No, you're here. We can hear
Okay.
you.
I just want to shout out the Carolina Hurricanes fans at the Lenovo Center. It feels like every time I watch them, they somehow get dumber and dumber at understanding hockey. They were booing offside calls, icing calls. I feel like the ref looked at Brendan Moore wrong. They started booing. It's just like a not very intelligent fan base. And when there's as many ref you suck chants and boos and as everything as we heard in this game one, it just ruins the experience for the viewer, especially on TV. So if there's any Carolina fans that are viewing this, just chill out. Just calm down.
To that point, there was more ref you suck chants than go Canes go. That's
agree.
a problem.
Yeah.
That is a
I
problem
agree.
for your fan base. Come on,
Yeah.
be better.
Yeah.
So to that point, Donnie, you gave them their fan base a quick shout out. I'm gonna give our fan base a quick shout out here for my final thoughts. Hat fans, I love you guys. You're all brilliant, but for the love of God, stop making us look stupid. The WHL Hurricanes team,
I saw that.
the Lethbridge Hurricanes, are not the fucking Carolina Hurricanes, guys. That poor fucking team had to send out a letter to have fans to please remind them that they're not the Carolina Hurricanes, okay? So to our fan base, I love the passion. I love you all, but for the love of God, please fucking read before you start writing stuff. But I laughed so hard when I read that.
Also, if they give out any towels this round at the Bell Center, send them to the rink, please. Thank you.
Yeah,
I would love a towel. Anyone listening to this, I would love a towel. But I honestly wonder about the legitimacy of that Dante, or if it's just a bit of a ploy. But
they did post some of they posted
clips.
some of the clips of it, and I'm not gonna lie, it's something that I can 100% see happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, little funny thing. I laughed.
The Montreal fan base is the craziest fan base in the NHL.
They're insane.
Up and down, getting on guys, on players, on teams, and cheering for your guys. Like, it's just a wide spectrum. It is by far the craziest roller coaster in the whole league.
I'll say one prediction for a torchbearer for games 3 and 4 this round. I think one we see is Marie-Philippe Poulin, the captain of the Clarkson Cup winning Montreal Victoire.
You played for the Habs?
No, yeah, I really hope not. I'll be so mad. I'll be so mad. It has nothing. Congratulations. Well done. You won. You have no fucking business holding that torch. You have no fucking business doing that.
How many more Habs legends that have won cups do they have to go through?
Bob Gainey.
Yeah, Wall would be good. I would also love to see Carey Price at some point.
There's a shit ton of guys.
Never won a cup.
I don't care.
But there's there is a shit ton of guys that the Montreal organization can pull out of their assholes that I'd rather see bring that torch in than her. No offense to her. She's an amazing player, amazing career, amazing everything. But it has no reason for her to do it. There's zero reason in any way whatsoever.
I would respect it.
I would not.
If they get to a point,
I would not.
Get to a point where they run out of people.
You're not. How are you going to run out of people?
Dante,
how are you going to run out?
Me and you going up there with the torch, okay?
I'd rather have Dale fucking Weiss come out there with the damn torch. At least he played for the fucking Montreal Canadiens. No offense, Dale Weiss. I love you, buddy. Come to the rink. You're local to Winnipeg here. I love you, but it just makes no sense to me. I get it. Like I said, no disrespect to her. Amazing career, amazing everything. They won the championship, but
she has worked with the team as well.
I don't care. She's never played for them. There's no reason. The whole point of the torch, like obviously not the exact words, but they're passing down the torch from our hands to yours. Her hands have never touched the fucking torch. She never played for the team. Okay.
You gotta clip this, buddy.
Give me George fucking Peros out there before you give me Marie-Philippe Poulin.
Call John Scott up.
Fuck. Give me
Brian Giunta.
Give me fucking Morgan Riley, fuck. Or not Morgan Riley. What's just that fucking that fucking idiot's
Mike
name we
Riley.
had? Give me Mike fucking Riley out there, okay? Fucking hell. All right. We'll see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.